then nothing would matter. Then nothing would matter. Yeah, see, now, Ernest Hemingway was a great atheist. See, I like, my favorite atheists are the ones that actually believe they're more nihilist, like either hedonist or nihilist. Those, I respect atheists like that, because that's the lifestyle you should live if there is nothing beyond. If all you do is die and fade to black, then there is no purpose, there is no right, wrong, moral. It wouldn't matter if you lived 100 years and experienced all the hedonistic pleasures you could ever experience, and then you died, or if you spent 100 years staring at a blank wall and then starved to death and died. It wouldn't make any difference, because you'd fade to black. You wouldn't have any regret for what you could have done more of. You wouldn't have appreciation for what you did do. Ernest Hemingway was a great, do you know much about Ernest Hemingway? Great writer, great atheist. He's a very consistent atheist. And he had a great quote. He said, Ernest Hemingway said, "Life is a dirty trick. It's a short journey from nothingness to nothingness. And man's existence in this world, in this universe, is no different than a colony of ants trapped on a burning log. And in the end, he ended up killing himself." Now, that's a great quote. I don't appreciate that he killed himself, but at least that's a consistent worldview. And at least he understood that if atheism was true, then you come from nothing and you're going to nothing. And trying to give purpose or meaning to a line between 2 points of nothingness is ridiculous and pointless. Yeah. Everything exploding makes more sense than an entity, an all-powerful entity with logic and reason. Yeah, or something creating it. Okay, that's good. Yeah, well, that's why the first line of the entire Bible, you got Genesis through Revelation, and the first line is, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." So that's why this Big Bang and evolution stuff is just so diabolical and evil. Because if Satan can say that the first line of the entire Bible is a big lie, then everything else following it would have to be a big lie. Or what's the point? So that's just Satan's way of trying to say, yeah, sure, the Bible starts out. You only have to get one sentence into the Bible. It says God created the heavens and the earth in the beginning. No, so the devil's trying to say no. It was hydrogen and helium shooting out into frictionless space plus time gave us everything that we have. Well, that's unscientific and illogical, because then we just have hydrogen and helium forever shooting out into an ever widening band. Yeah, I know exactly how it is. And actually, if you want to get scientific about it, if the Big Bang actually happened and hydrogen and maybe even helium exploded out into frictionless space, one, you need to look up helium mass gap 5 and helium mass gap 8. You can't get beyond the deuterium form of helium. Every element beyond deuterium wouldn't even exist on the periodic table if the Big Bang actually happened. And even if it did, and even if we have every element on the periodic table, which is scientifically impossible because of helium mass gap 5 and 8, you can't jump from there's nothing at the atomic weight of 5 or 8. You can't just jump from one to the other. Also, if we had everything that's on the periodic table, then still you'd be living in a universe that there's no such thing as right or wrong, moral or immoral, good or bad, whatever. If atheism is true, there's no such thing as right or wrong, good or bad, moral or immoral. We just live in a world of pitiful indifference, and you're just a 140-pound sack of chemicals on the periodic table, and there's no how much you weigh. 100? You're only 100 pounds? Wow. I don't know. I'm not a carnival worker, and how many gifts do you have out? Like a carnival worker. If you look at the periodic table, if you just take a scientific look at the world, there's no element on the periodic table that can have morality or justice or right or wrong. There's no combination of elements on the periodic table.
What's God's excuse for diseases
like what? My wife has multiple sclerosis. I don't even know what. See, we're trying to have a good. He's actually willing to have a good discussion or whatever. But
I don't. I think he can joke.
I'm free to walk away. Try to have. Yeah, see, your eternal soul is, I understand that your eternal soul is at risk. And you, I think, you were talking about some of the people that stole from the church or whatever. What I was trying to say earlier is, on Judgment Day, you're not going to be able to, like point fingers at hypocrites from the church, or how your parents did this, or somebody, a teacher did that, or how there's somebody else in line on Judgment Day that's much worse than you. No, it's
It's a continual process.
I'm not telling you to follow people. I'm not telling you to follow me. I'm not telling you to follow people in your church. I'm telling you to follow God. See, that's why. See, I do a home church. We read the Bible and we obey it. No, if they're stealing, they're not representing. You're not representing God. Theft, thou shalt not steal, is one of the 10 Commandments. So if somebody's stealing from a church, they absolutely don't represent Jesus. If somebody is lying, they don't represent Jesus. He will. See, and this is what they said to the Apostle Peter. See, they said to the Apostle Peter, hey, where's this judgment? They said to the Apostle Peter, hey, where's this judgment you keep talking about, Peter? You keep saying God's going to judge us and do something or whatever, but everything stays the same since our forefathers lived. And Peter told them, look, God is not slack concerning his promises. He's being merciful and long-suffering, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. See, if you're not living as a Bible-believing, Bible-obeying, born-again Christian, what's keeping God from wiping you out? If God holds your eternity right in God holds your eternity. God is holding your eternity in his hand. And you're saying, well, why doesn't God do something about them? Well, why doesn't God do something about you? You're not living holy and righteously. Why doesn't God wipe you out? See, if God decided to just immediately wipe out every single person that was sinning against him, he'd probably wipe out about 98% of the population. He doesn't want that. He's being merciful. See, just like why did Noah have to preach for 120 years to people who weren't going to be willing to get onto the ark? He was giving them a chance.
How could they know that Noah was credible? How do they know he's not just some crazy lunatic? Oh, I'm building a ship.
They need to search it out. See, the Bible says that God is a rewarder. God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So, see, all men everywhere have been given, at minimum, 2 ways by which to know God: conscience and creation. And if you will respond properly to conscience and creation, God will reveal himself to you more and more. Rahab. We're studying the book of Joshua right now. Have you ever read the book of Joshua? Do you know anything about Joshua? In the book of Joshua, Rahab, there was Rahab, a harlot. They were going into Jericho, and Jericho was a wicked pagan nation, very into the occult and worshiping Baal, worshiping child sacrifice, things like that. So the people of Jericho had been living a wicked pagan existence. Right. So anyways, the people of Jericho were living a wicked pagan existence for centuries, and God sent the Israelites in to take over Jericho. But listen, you ask a question, listen to the answer. But there was a harlot named Rahab. There was a prostitute named Rahab. Yeah, but she didn't know who the God of these Jews was. But they had heard story after story about how this God of these Hebrews, he got them across the Red Sea. He opened up the Red Sea. He destroyed Pharaoh's army. He fed them manna from heaven. He brought water out of a rock. And these people of Jericho, these pagan nations, heard about all these things that God was doing for these Hebrew people, and they were terrified. The people of Jericho were terrified that now that these Hebrews were making their way towards Jericho, because they knew, look, if this God that they worship, we don't know who this God is that they worship, but if he's able to bring water out of a rock, and if he's able to open the Red Sea and then close it on Pharaoh's army, and if he's able to do all these things, we have no hope against him. But Rahab, a harlot, told the spies that Joshua sent, See, Rahab was a harlot, but she knew enough. She knew enough that seeing all the things that their God was doing, all the miraculous things, Rahab the harlot told the two Hebrew spies. She said, "Look, I don't want to be on the wrong side of your God. He's doing amazing things that our pagan God can't do. If you'll spare, I won't tattle on you and tell my people of Jericho. Hold on a second. I won't tell the people of Jericho, about you, but you have to spare my family. I believe in this God you worship." She didn't know. She didn't know who this God of the Hebrews was, but she saw it. She actually responded properly to all the miraculous things that they knew about this God who was doing for the Hebrews. And she said, "I want to be on his side." And do you know who came? Who came of the genealogy of Rahab, out of Rahab? Jesus Christ himself. Jesus Christ himself came from the genealogy of Rahab, who was a pagan harlot, but that's where Boaz came from, who's in the lineage of Jesus. Jesus didn't even come from the line of Joshua. He came from the line of Rahab, who was a harlot pagan, who responded properly to what she did know about God, and he rewarded her and showed her more and more. So anybody who says that they don't know God or anything like that, they're not responding properly to what God has given them. So God has no requirement to give you more if you're not going to respond properly to what he has given you. Okay, that's a great question. See, all the things, everything on the shirt is a no-no. It's just that there's so much sin here in Hickory, I ran out of red ink.
Oh, there's sin all over the world.
So I just ran out of red ink because there's so much sin down here. But these are all no-nos. Don't be a witch. Don't be a liar. Don't be a porn freak. Don't be a homo. Don't be a coward. Stuff like that. Thank you. Appreciate it.